The Hawthorne mansion loomed over the Millers, its weathered facade a testament to a forgotten era. The once vibrant colors had faded into somber grays, and the mansion's grand architecture whispered secrets buried beneath the weight of time. As Sarah Miller steered the moving truck up the cracked driveway, the mansion's dusty windows seemed to watch with hollow eyes, casting long shadows in the late afternoon light. Inside, the house was thick with the smell of old wood and mildew. The echo of footsteps reverberated through the vast, dimly lit hallways as the family began unpacking. Each room revealed remnants of a storied past, intricate moldings, creaking floors, and chandeliers cloaked in cobwebs. The mansion's air was heavy, burdened by countless unspoken histories. In the basement, where the darkness clung more persistently, Sarah stumbled upon a hidden door. Partially obscured behind old shelves and dust-laden boxes, the door was marred by age and neglect, its rusted hinges long unused. It beckoned to her with a silent allure, a forgotten secret waiting to be uncovered. With a mix of determination and apprehension, Sarah pried open the door, releasing a wave of stale air. The hidden room within was cloaked in shadows, filled with dust and forgotten possessions. Amid the scattered relics, an ornate chest stood out, its intricate carvings hinting at secrets long concealed. As the family settled in, the mansion remained eerily silent, save for the occasional creak of ancient timbers. Yet, the hidden room in the basement held a quiet, foreboding promise, as if the mansion itself had been waiting for someone to uncover the mysteries it had long kept sealed away. As Jake ventured deeper into Blackwood Asylum, the darkness seemed to close in, heightening his senses. His flashlight's beam cut through the dusty air, revealing the decaying structure's secrets. The silence, once eerie but bearable, became oppressive, each step echoing ominously through the abandoned halls. Suddenly, the silence was broken by a faint, disembodied voice. Jake paused, straining to listen as whispers drifted through the air, sending a shiver down his spine. The voices seemed to come from all directions, elusive and haunting, drawing him further into the asylum with a mix of curiosity and unease. As he followed the sounds, the whispers grew louder, their tone mournful and filled with a deep sadness. Jake couldn't make out any distinct words, only the haunting melody of the voices. It felt as though the asylum itself was speaking to him, sharing echoes of its tragic past. The whispers led Jake to an old common room, where the remnants of decayed furniture and tattered wallpaper added to the atmosphere of despair. Raising his camera, he tried to capture the eerie presence that filled the room. Through the lens, faint outlines of figures moved in the shadows just beyond the reach of his flashlight. As the whispers reached a crescendo, the room fell silent once more, leaving Jake in a heavy, expectant stillness. Despite the unnerving experience, Jake's determination only grew stronger. With his camera in hand and a renewed sense of purpose, he prepared to venture further into the asylum, unaware of the chilling discoveries that awaited him. As the whispers reached a crescendo, the room fell silent once more, leaving Jake in a heavy, expectant stillness. Despite the unnerving experience, Jake's determination only grew stronger. With his camera in hand and a renewed sense of purpose, he prepared to venture further into the asylum, unaware of the chilling discoveries that awaited him. The records detailed gruesome procedures like lobotomies and electroshock therapy, described in cold, clinical terms. Jake's horror grew as he read about the inhumane treatments inflicted on the asylum's inhabitants, revealing a past marked by unimaginable suffering. One photograph, in particular, drew his attention, a haunting image of a young woman named Evelyn, whose sad eyes seemed to follow him. Her records recounted repeated lobotomies and relentless electroshock therapy, marking her as one of the asylum's most tormented souls. The room bore silent witness to these horrors, with rusted bed frames, broken restraints, and decaying medical equipment scattered about. The oppressive atmosphere pressed in on Jake, as if the very walls were alive with the memories of those who had suffered and died within the asylum. The whispers from earlier had given way to an overwhelming sense of dread, making him feel as though he was being watched. Despite the grim turn his exploration had taken, Jake was driven by a need to uncover more. The photograph of Evelyn remained at the forefront of his mind, a haunting reminder of the asylum's dark history. As he moved to the next room, the weight of his discoveries hung heavy in the air, propelling him deeper into the nightmare of Blackwood Asylum, where even darker secrets awaited. Despite the grim turn his exploration had taken, Jake was driven by a need to uncover more. The photograph of Evelyn remained at the forefront of his mind, a haunting reminder of the asylum's dark history. As he moved to the next room, the weight of his discoveries hung heavy in the air, propelling him deeper into the nightmare of Blackwood Asylum, where even darker secrets awaited. At first, Jake dismissed the shadows as tricks of the light, but they became more distinct and frequent. A cold sweat broke out as he realized these figures were real, yet elusive, vanishing the moment he tried to focus on them. Despite the fear gnawing at him, Jake pressed on, determined to uncover the truth behind the asylum's haunting reputation. In one narrow corridor, a shadow moved swiftly across the wall, disappearing into a small room. Jake followed, heart pounding, only to find the room empty, but charged with an eerie presence. As he documented the space, the shadows continued to play a relentless game of cat and mouse, their forms becoming more defined in the darkest corners. Jake's frustration grew as the shadows seemed to inch closer, their ghostly forms almost tangible before melting back into the darkness. The sense of being watched was overwhelming, but Jake set up a stationary camera, hoping to capture evidence of the spectral figures. The shadows grew bolder, flickering in the corners and following him deeper into the basement. Despite the fear and tension, Jake refused to turn back. The shadowy figures, ever present and watching, were a testament to the horrors that had occurred within Blackwood Asylum. Jake knew he was only beginning to unravel its terrifying secrets, driven by a need to uncover the truth hidden in the darkness. Despite the fear and tension, Jake refused to turn back. The shadowy figures, ever present and watching, were a testament to the horrors that had occurred within Blackwood Asylum. Jake knew he was only beginning to unravel its terrifying secrets, driven by a need to uncover the truth hidden in the darkness. Inside the office, Jake discovered a leather-bound journal hidden beneath a pile of papers. The name Dr. Harrison was inscribed on the cover, the asylum's infamous head physician. As Jake read through the journal, he uncovered the horrific story of Evelyn, a patient subjected to relentless and brutal experiments under Dr. Harrison's care. The entries revealed the doctor's disturbing obsession with breaking Evelyn's will, justifying his cruel methods as attempts to cleanse her of madness. The journal made it clear that Evelyn's spirit was the source of the asylum's hauntings. Dr. Harrison's notes detailed her unimaginable suffering, her spirit broken by the excruciating treatments she endured. The final entries described her mysterious disappearance, leaving Jake to realize that her restless soul had remained within the asylum, drawing other tormented spirits to it. Understanding the connection between Evelyn's tragic fate and the hauntings, Jake felt a renewed sense of purpose. The journal was not just a record of the asylum's dark past, but a key to understanding the paranormal activity. Jake knew he had to continue his investigation, not just to document the asylum's horrors, but to seek justice for Evelyn and the other souls trapped within its walls. With the journal in hand, Jake prepared to delve deeper into Blackwood Asylum, guided by the lingering presence of Evelyn's spirit. He was more determined than ever to uncover the full extent of the darkness that had consumed her and so many others, and to bring light to the hidden horrors of the asylum's past. With the journal in hand, Jake prepared to delve deeper into Blackwood Asylum, guided by the lingering presence of Evelyn's spirit. He was more determined than ever to uncover the full extent of the darkness that had consumed her and so many others, and to bring light to the hidden horrors of the asylum's past. The sight of Evelyn's ghost overwhelmed Jake with fear, yet he could sense her pain and desperation. Her silent scream echoed in his mind, a plea for understanding and release from her torment. Jake realized that Evelyn's spirit wasn't seeking vengeance, but rather someone to tell her story and help her find peace. Despite his fear, he knew he couldn't turn back. He had to uncover the truth behind her suffering. Summoning his courage, Jake reached out to Evelyn's apparition, feeling a brief connection with her tormented soul. Her expression shifted from rage to sorrow, as if acknowledging his resolve to help. As she began to fade, Jake's sense of purpose deepened. He was not just documenting the paranormal, but also a participant in a tragic story that needed to be told. With renewed determination, Jake continued his exploration of the chapel, now driven by the responsibility to honor Evelyn's memory. The shadows around him felt less menacing, as if they too were silent witnesses to his quest for the truth. He knew the journey ahead would be perilous, but he was committed to uncovering the full extent of the horrors that had occurred within Blackwood Asylum. Evelyn's spirit had entrusted Jake with her story, and he vowed to see it through to the end. As he moved deeper into the darkness, he knew that Evelyn's presence would guide him toward the truth, and hopefully, toward the peace she so desperately sought. As he left the hidden room, Jake felt a deep sense of purpose. He was no longer just an explorer. He was a witness to the asylum's dark history and a voice for those who had been silenced. The secrets of Blackwood Asylum were now in his hands, and he was determined to bring them to light, giving the spirits of the asylum the justice they deserved. With renewed determination, Jake documented the hidden room, capturing every detail of the atrocities that had taken place. The spirits of Blackwood Asylum seemed to watch over him as he worked, their presence a silent acknowledgement of his mission. Jake knew that exposing the truth was the first step in helping these tormented souls find closure. As Jake read the journal, he realized that the hauntings were not random, but a desperate cry for justice from the souls tormented by Dr. Harrison. Evelyn's spirit, along with others, was bound to the asylum, seeking recognition of their suffering and an opportunity for peace. The gruesome past of Blackwood Asylum needed to be exposed, and Jake felt a profound responsibility to tell their story. In the corner of the room, Jake found an old journal belonging to Dr. Harrison, the asylum's twisted head physician. The journal detailed the brutal procedures inflicted on Evelyn in a final attempt to cure her, leading to her agonizing death. Dr. Harrison's lack of remorse and his obsession with his failed methods revealed the true horror of Evelyn's suffering. Her spirit, trapped within the asylum's walls, was a constant reminder of the cruelty she endured. Jake, shaken by his encounter with Evelyn's apparition, continued his exploration of Blackwood Asylum, determined to uncover the full extent of its dark history. His journey led him back to the basement, where he discovered a hidden room behind a false wall. Inside, he found a gruesome scene: rusted medical instruments, bloodstains, and the lingering stench of decay. This secret chamber, once used for horrific experiments, was a testament to the asylum's darkest secrets. Jake's investigation into Blackwood Asylum's dark history began to blur the line between past and present as he uncovered more about Evelyn, the young woman who had suffered within its walls. Soon, Jake started experiencing vivid and disturbing visions, reliving Evelyn's terrifying memories firsthand. These visions, intense and real, revealed the depth of her anguish, with Jake feeling her pain as if it were his own. One night, while reviewing footage, Jake was thrust into a vision where he witnessed Evelyn's torment at the hands of Dr. Harrison. Her pain became his, a desperate cry for help that echoed through the asylum's decaying halls. The visions grew more frequent, showing Jake how Evelyn, once hopeful, was brutally broken by the doctor's cruel experiments. Through these visions, Jake realized that Evelyn was using him as a conduit, seeking someone to understand her suffering and bring justice to her tormentors. As the connection between Jake and Evelyn deepened, it became clear that her spirit was trapped, unable to move on until the truth was acknowledged. Jake's determination to help her grew stronger with each vision, understanding that exposing the asylum's dark history was only the beginning. He needed to find a way to communicate directly with Evelyn's spirit and help her find peace. One final vision led Jake to the asylum's chapel, where Evelyn's apparition appeared more clearly than ever. Her silent plea for help resonated deeply with Jake, compelling him to take the next steps in his investigation. He knew that freeing Evelyn's spirit would require delving even deeper into the asylum's haunted past and confronting the lingering presence of Dr. Harrison. With renewed purpose, Jake prepared for the final stages of his journey. The visions had shown him the path, and now it was up to him to set Evelyn free and bring peace to the restless spirits of Blackwood Asylum. Jake knew it was time for a final confrontation to help Evelyn find peace. Armed with the evidence of Blackwood Asylum's dark history, he returned to the chapel, where he had first encountered Evelyn's ghost. The chapel, once a place of solace, now felt like a grim monument to the asylum's tragic past. Jake set up a makeshift altar, arranging photographs, journal entries, and medical records that detailed the horrors Evelyn had endured. As he began a ritual to summon Evelyn's spirit, the chapel responded with an eerie chill, and the asylum seemed to come alive with haunting activity. Doors slammed, windows rattled, and disembodied voices filled the air. Amid the chaos, Evelyn's apparition appeared, more powerful and terrifying than before. Her presence was overwhelming, filled with the agony of her past and the fury of her unresolved torment. Jake, despite his fear, spoke to Evelyn with compassion, promising to tell her story and seek justice for the horrors she had suffered. As he spoke, the violent energy in the chapel began to calm, and Evelyn's form steadied, her expression shifting from rage to hope. Jake pleaded with her to let go of her pain and find the peace she desperately needed. Gradually, the oppressive atmosphere lifted, and Evelyn's apparition began to fade. With a final grateful smile, she found the release she had sought for so long. The fog dissipated, and the chapel grew silent once more, the hauntings finally coming to an end. Jake stood alone, relieved and accomplished, knowing his journey was not yet over. He still had to share the truth of Blackwood Asylum with the world, but for now, he had helped a tormented soul find peace, bringing closure to a century-old tragedy. Jake stood alone, relieved and accomplished, knowing his journey was not yet over. He still had to share the truth of Blackwood Asylum with the world, but for now, he had helped a tormented soul find peace, bringing closure to a century-old tragedy. As Evelyn's apparition appeared, her eyes reflected a flicker of hope amidst the pain. Jake presented the evidence, pleading with her to let go of her anger and find peace. Slowly, the oppressive atmosphere in the chapel began to lift, and Evelyn's ghostly form grew more serene. With a final, grateful nod, she faded away, the cold blue light dimming until it vanished entirely. Jake, now alone in the silent chapel, knew his journey was not yet over. He meticulously documented his investigation and published Evelyn's story, sharing the truth with the world. The response was overwhelming, and there was a renewed call for justice for the victims of Blackwood Asylum. Evelyn's story became a powerful reminder of the importance of compassion and humanity. In the end, Jake brought closure to a century-old tragedy, ensuring that Evelyn's suffering was not forgotten. The hauntings at Blackwood Asylum ceased, and the building stood as a silent memorial to those who had endured its horrors. Forever changed by his encounter, Jake continued his work with a renewed sense of purpose, dedicated to uncovering the truth in the darkest corners of history.